China is a country in Asia and it's huge! The Yellow River Valley is a great place to live, except floods keep
destroying everything.
Yu the engineer stops the flooding, so they make him king, and he starts the Xia dynasty. After a few kings, things go downhill, so a new tribe takes over. It's the Shang dynasty. They use bones to talk to their ancestors, and record their conversations using a fancy new language. After a few kings, things go downhill, so a new tribe takes over. Wait, why should we consider you the legitimate rulers, people ask? Because we have the
mandate of heaven.
If you're a good ruler, heaven supports you, and life is great for everyone. If you're a bad ruler, heaven gets angry with you, and life is bad for everyone. And they're allowed to have rebellions. If someone overthrows you, then heaven must be on their side. Seems legit. Everything's going great, then the king exiles his wife to pick up a new girl, and his wife's dad is angry and revolts, destroys the capital, and kills the king.
Sounds like you lost the mandate of heaven.
And now China's broken. Now that there's no one in charge, everyone starts coming up with new ideas, including Taoism, Confucianism, and legalism. Sun Tzu just figured out how to fight wars properly and wrote a whole book about it. So everyone goes to war. The king of Qin conquers more and more of China until he unites it all. This isn't a kingdom, it's an empire, which makes him the first
emperor of China.
Standardize all the things. Language, standardized. Currency, standardized. Weights and measurements, standardized. He runs the country based on legalism, which means strict laws with harsh punishments. If you break the law, then no worries. The government will just kill you, your parents, grandparents, children, grandchildren, siblings, uncles, aunts, and cousins. Don't like legalism? Get purged. He builds a wall to keep out barbarians. One day, it's going to be a great wall. He really doesn't want to die, so he looks for the secret to immortality. But just in case he dies, he builds a gigantic tomb with a whole army to defend him in the afterlife. Then he drinks an immortality potion and dies. And now there's a rebellion. Some random peasant is transporting prisoners and some of them escape. The penalty for letting a prisoner escape is death. So he can either go back to get his death sentence or join the rebellion and overthrow the emperor. So he frees all the prisoners, joins the rebellion, and overthrows the emperor. And then he reunites all of China and starts a new dynasty. Now that China is stable again, people start inventing things like paper, a compass, an earthquake detector, and a wheelbarrow. Then they conquer Vietnam. And they're tired of having sad, lame, weak, pathetic, useless horses. So they fight a war to get better horses. Then they beat the barbarians and establish a new protectorate. Anyone want silk? Yes, says the entire planet. So they build a road to the outside world. Legalism sucks. Let's make Confucianism the foundation of government instead.
The eunuchs have taken over the government.
And the peasants think the government is too corrupt. So they put on yellow hats and start a rebellion. And now China's broken again. Don't worry, happens all the time.
China is home again.
Just kidding. In the middle of this chaos, everyone turns to a hot new religion that traveled up the Silk Road from India.
Everybody loves Buddhism.
People make temples, statues, paintings, and books. The Sui dynasty reunites China. They build a grand canal to connect the empire, and they extend the Great Wall. Then they invade Vietnam, which goes well. Then they invade Korea and fail, and invade Korea and fail, and invade Korea and fail, and invade Korea and fail. The people get tired of this, so they overthrow the emperor. It's time for the
Tang dynasty.
And they invade Korea. And succeed. Hold up, the new emperor's a woman. Is that even allowed? It's not allowed. Now that things are stable again, there's a golden age of art and literature. People write stories, poetry, history, encyclopedias. Feeling thirsty? Have a cup of tea. Everyone's drinking it. Want to read a book? We can print things now. Surprise! There's a rebellion. But the Tang dynasty survives by
eating each other to stay alive.
Need money? Steal from the Buddhists. The peasants are dying from drought and famine.
Sounds like you lost the mandate of heaven.
And now China's broken again. Need money? Steal from the Buddhists.
Time to reunite all of China.
Almost. Guess we'll have to share it this time. Now we're so rich we have the best economy in the world. The population increases a ton. People invent new technology like paper money, gunpowder, and better printing. There's new paintings, pottery, poetry, plays, and puppet shows. The government builds retirement homes, public hospitals, and a postal service. Want a place to relax? Try going to the tea house. Need friends? Let's join the exotic food club. Wanna play Go? Let's do it after the fireworks show. There's a new dynasty in the north and they would like to conquer all of China. So they go to war. Meanwhile, in the middle of nowhere, Genghis Khan just decided to
take over the world.
The Song dynasty allies with the Mongols to fight the Jin, and they win. Then the Mongols attack the Song and Genghis Khan's grandson declares himself Emperor of China. Hey Japan, you suck, says China. No you, says Japan. So they send troops to invade Japan, but get killed by the wind. Then they send an even stronger army, and and have a nice time fighting the Japanese, but get killed by the wind. Some European guy visits China, lives there for a while, and writes a book about how great it is. Then everything gets bad. There's drought, famine, plague.
Sounds like you lost the mandate of heaven.
So some peasants put on red hats and overthrow the emperor. The Ming build one of the most powerful navies in the world and make some voyages to let everyone know how rich China is. Whoa, China's rich. And then they dismantle the navy and forget it ever happened. They build a fancy new palace in a city you're not allowed to visit, and they make the wall great again. Art and literature are booming. Look at those Ming vases. The Portuguese would like to build a trading post, so China lends them some land. The emperor doesn't feel like being emperor anymore, so he goes on strike. Then there are famines, floods, an epidemic, and a giant earthquake.
Sounds like you lost the mandate of heaven.
Some barbarians from the north take over.
It's the Qing.
And now everyone has to get this new haircut or die. China expands, the population booms, and everything's going great. Hi, it's the Europeans, and we want better trade relationships. Fine, you can trade, but you'll have to do it right here. The British are selling opium and now everyone's addicted. So China seizes all the opium and destroys it. Problem solved. Knock knock. It's the British with huge boats, with guns, gunboats. Legalize drugs. Stop having drugs be illegal. No, says China. I mean, yes, says China, and they sign an unequal treaty. Now they have to open up 5 ports to foreign countries, give away Hong Kong to the British, and pay the British back for all the drugs they lost. Good day, I am the brother of
Jesus Christ.
And it's time to overthrow the Qing and create heaven on earth, says some guy causing the deadliest civil war of all time. Now the Qing is weak and everyone knows it. Hi, it's France. We own Vietnam now. Hi, it's Japan. We own Korea and Taiwan now. Some peasants are tired of all this foreign influence, so they rise up and attack the foreigners. And then the entire world invades China to defend their citizens. The Qing dynasty, weighing their options carefully, thinks really hard about what to do next, and decides to declare war on the entire world. Surprisingly, they lose. And then people revolt and create a
democracy
called the Republic of China. But the Qing dynasty is technically still around, and the new government doesn't have a military. So they ask a guy from the previous government to overthrow the emperor in exchange for becoming president. And he does it and becomes president. Then he assassinates the democratically elected leader, dissolves the government, and declares himself the new emperor of China. And everyone gets so angry that
China breaks again.
There's technically still a government, but territories are ruled by warlords. The Nationalist Party is reformed and they want to unify China. The Communist Party is formed and they also want to unify China. Why don't we do it together? So they team up to reunite China. And then the Nationalists betray the Communists, and now there's a civil war. The Nationalists overthrow the government and reunify a piece of China. Then they go back to fighting the Communists, and they're winning. But the Communists make a really long march to safety so they can regroup. Breaking news, Japan is invading China. They take over Manchuria, where they set up a puppet government. The Nationalists want to stop Japan from invading China. The Communists also want to stop Japan from invading China. So they team up again, because it worked so well the last time. Then the Japanese get to Nanjing. World War II is over and China gets back all of the land Japan stole, including Taiwan. And now we can go back to civil war. The communists are winning and the nationalists are on the declare it the People's Republic of China. The economy booms and China gets rich and lifts hundreds of millions out of poverty. I'm sure the economy will go up and up forever.